This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And today, as we got a load of requests for it, he's going to be checking out the varied arsenal of hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades, all in glorious virtual reality.
You do, however, need the loading lever replaced with a larger loop, because otherwise you break your fingers. Now in VR, you don't have fingers, so that's fine.
If there are any other games, guns, or mechanics that you want to see Jonathan break down, do let us know in the comments section down below. Make sure to subscribe for more videos exactly like this, and if you want to help out the Royal Armouries Museum and continue to support Jonathan's work, check out the links in the description of this video. Right, over to Jonathan.
Okay, pause there. First of all, I just want to say how nice it is to see a muzzle loading firearm in any kind of computer or video game. Of course, what we've got here is leveraging VR to let you really experience something of what it's like to load a muzzle loading weapon. That's usually fudged in video games. This pretty much nails it. And I gather there are different ways to load this thing as well, but what we see there is a complete paper cartridge, and then we see the separate flask used for priming. Kind of works pretty much how it does in real life. I suppose the only thing that struck me as a bit unusual is that the cock, because it is called a cock, not a hammer, seemed to go to full cock both times rather than half cock, which is the sort of safe loading position that pretty much all Flintlocks have. I don't know if that's a limitation of the model in the game or just the user putting it to full cock, because you could load the Flintlock at full cock. It's modelled on some sort of reproduction kit, so it doesn't look very classically antique Flintlock. Just to prove the point, I have one behind me. This is a classic British military pistol, smaller caliber than the one in the game. The one in the game is what we call musket bore, and this is a pistol bore. This one's dated 1742, marks the tower for the Tower of London where it was assembled. And it works just like the one in the game.
I should really get the laundry done tomorrow. Well, that was something. It's all got 2018.
Pause. The Kalashnikov AKM, you can't really have a shooting game without an AK in it. The big thing that leaps out is the grenade launcher. Not super common to see in video games, full stop, but it's well done. I've actually got one. So the first thing I suppose I would say is that, it's fairly easy to get an AK right in this day and age, and it's a decent 3D model. It's what looks to be well implemented. And then the really interesting thing is the grenade launcher. So the GP25 grenade launcher, catch up here to remove it, and it mounts just like you see in the game. It's a little bit more physical on the real thing than just moving things around in virtual space, but not far off. Didn't quite catch how the sighting arrangements were dealt with the grenade launcher, but we're quite used to judging by eye firing grenades in games, so maybe that's how it's done. We see the player there doing something we see in reload animations in first-person shooters. The great thing about VR is that you've got actual objects with actual moving parts, which means that you can take a loaded magazine and hit the magazine catch and knock out the empty magazine just like you can in real life, and that's a legitimate reloading technique for the AK. You can interact with these models in a way that you just can't in a normal flat game. Pausing there. So the Winchester 1887 is pretty iconic, and it's cropped up in various computer games over the years. And I think probably best known, at least in my generation, because of Terminator 2. And of course, we see in the clip there the spin cocking that is possible with lever action rifles or shotguns. You do, however, need the loading lever opened up or replaced with a larger loop, because otherwise you break your fingers. Now in VR, you don't have fingers, so that's fine. The other risk of spin cocking like that, which was done by John Wayne originally, by the way, is hitting yourself in the head, shooting yourself, generally colliding with parts of your body. Again, not a problem in clearly in this game, but it's something you don't put an 1887 lever action shotgun in a game if you can't spin cock it. Here is one, being an M1887 shotgun. This one is similar in configuration to what we see in the game there, but it's got a shorter barrel. It's more your T2 length actually. But this one has not been cut off at the stock for stowing in a Harley Davidson scabbard.
Huh?
The M1 Garand, or Garand if you prefer. What can we say about that? That hasn't been said 1,000 times before, except that it's got such an iconic loading system with the on-block clip of 8 rounds that you push into the action. Either the bolt closes or you close the bolt. And then when you've fired your last shot, you get that classic resonant ping sound as the clip that has stayed in the gun to this point goes flying out of the gun. The only thing you're sort of missing, well, not the only thing, but something you're missing out of in VR is how when you load something, the ammunition just drifts into the gun, just drops in, no problem at all. And you sort of, I think, I haven't tried it myself, but I think you're missing out on the physicality of how much force it takes to press that clip into the action. On the plus side, you're not getting your thumb trap and getting like a black fingernail or something from the infamous Garand's thumb.
What's that? Calling my union rep.
The MP5. I don't like normally to say what my favourite firearms are, but if you catch me off guard, and maybe I've seen Die Hard recently, the MP5 is probably it. It looks like it handles well. Case ejection, as in some of the other guns, looks a bit funky, like just a stream of, almost looks like a stream of static images, which it isn't. But the way the cases are coming out of the gun doesn't look very naturalistic. the iconic handling aspect of the MP5 is, of course, the HK slap. What you're supposed to do is lock the bolt open, then put the magazine on, and then slap the handle. You can absolutely do it the way we saw in the video there. What we saw there is someone, I think, remembering that they really want to do an HK slap and putting a magazine on, locking it to the rear, and then slapping it. But just the fact that you can slap it, well, it probably would have been a riot if they hadn't implemented that. The next interesting thing is the modularity. One of the accessories that was made available quite early on for the MP5 was some form of sound suppressor. Like, we're used to seeing suppressors screwed on, and it looks like from this footage that that's what's happening. The player is screwing the silencer on with screw threads, which is how a lot of suppressors do work. The HK one doesn't. It works with offset lugs, and you push it on and turn it, and then it locks in place. We've got a level of realism here where the players try to fit the suppressor just by pushing it on the end of the gun, and then when they fire a shot, it flies off, which I didn't notice at first. Way more realism than we'd normally see in a game featuring firearms. The ultimate leap in realism is that it wouldn't even stay on. It would kind of fall off because of the way the system actually works. They bleed mustard. Okay, pause there. That's got to be the most realistic depiction of a single action army Colt that I've seen, simply because it's modeling all the aspects of loading and reloading the thing. We've got the loading gate that you can open, and amusingly, exactly what would happen in real life, I imagine, if you weren't really skilled with this thing. You kind of fail to push them in and some fall out. And then having to cock the hammer to fire it, and then to unload, having to open the loading gate, rotate the cylinder, push out the empty cartridge case one at a time. And I'm surprised I didn't anticipate this happening, but we actually see at one point using the controller to fan the hammer. Completely impractical, never done in real life as far as we know. Although I've seen it done in video games, to actually be able to do it virtually looks like fun to me. Now that's a really interesting gun that we've seen there. That's the Viper Mark 1, which is a British experimental submachine gun of the very end of the Second World War. So this thing does show up in my new book on British bullpup firearms because it's one of the relatively early attempts. Really, really nice to see a very rare historic firearm depicted, not only in a video game, but something where you can really get hands-on with it like that. Looks to work as it probably does work. We don't quite know because we're not going to shoot it. It's the only one that I know of that exists. There may be others. Let me know if you do know, but I don't think there are. And when it's pulled up to the eye, sort of aimed fire, you can see there are no sights, and it's kind of cumbersome even in VR. And that's because this was designed as a commando weapon for assaulting over a beach. And you can sort of see from how it's shaped that it's actually for under the arm, one-handed use. So you're looking where you're shooting and you're grasping it under the arm, giving you loads of control over recoil, but you've got no ability to aim. It's a fascinating historic firearm, and I'm really glad to see it in this game. Pause there. We've got there an Accuracy International bolt-action precision rifle. Well, it's meant to be a 338 lateral and Magnum rifle, which would make it an AWM, Arctic Warfare Magnum. This is the Arctic Warfare, which should be in 762 NATO. And I have cheated and looked this up. And what I gather has happened is that the model available to bring into the game was the Arctic Warfare. They really wanted a 338 rifle, fair enough, why wouldn't you? So what they've had to do is lengthen the receiver on the bolt. And so it's a sort of hybrid, a sort of version of the AI that never existed. Okay, pausing. What witchcraft is this? That's not how guns work. That's not how any of this works. So we see we've got a Makarov PM and a version of a Desert Eagle. Both of them get put in a plant pot and shaken up, and what comes out is some unholy hybrid of the two. Like many made-up things, I don't think it would work because you've got rotary bolts, multiple lug lockup, which needs gas operation to unlock it, and I don't know if 9x18 would have the sufficient gas pressure to achieve that. I don't know. Who knows? Let's never find out. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that run through just some of the guns that are available in Hot Dogs, Horseshoes and Hand Grenades, which I very much would like to play now. If you'd like to, we've got links in the description to donate to the Royal Armouries Museum, or perhaps even become a member. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.